Welcome back to Grid Drop. Today, we're going to help you get faster around one of Formula One's most iconic street circuits, Baku. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave any feedback or questions in the comment section, or my Discord, which is linked in the description. That being said, let's get right into it. This video will be broken down into 5 sections: car setup, Sector 1, Sector 2, Sector 3, and finally, a full lap. These sections are all equally important, so stay tuned to the end of the video if you really want to improve. So here's the setup I run in Azerbaijan. Feel free to pause the video and screenshot this if you want to try out the setup on your own. This setup prioritizes minimal drag for the straights while ensuring rear stability when entering and exiting corners. As a disclaimer, this setup is a general baseline for you to start with and applies to both hot laps and a race. I recommend doing a few laps with this setup and tweaking it to fit your own style. Into the first corner of the lap, stick to the right side of the track and watch for the meter boards. Keep an eye out for the 100 meter board. You want to brake about a car length before you reach this point. If it's hard to see, you can use this curb on the right side to judge your braking as well, as it's pretty close to that 100 meter mark. Here, you should at least ride your right 2 wheels on that right curb in order to extend the track as much as possible. This creates a straighter line through the corner. Under braking, shift down to 3rd or 4th gear and start turning in after the 50 meter board. You want to try to cut as close as you can to the inside wall here. That's pretty much what you want to do for every corner on this track. At the apex, start getting back on the power and shift your focus to that curb on the right. You can ride this curb, just be careful your rear wheels don't clip the wall. On this short straight now, stick to the right side of the track and watch for this blue and red sign on the right. This is much easier to spot and it's a perfect braking point. This is a quick and heavy jab of the brakes. It can be easy to lock up here, so focus on your trail braking. Shift down to 2nd gear here and really try to attack this inside curb. It's safe to cut this one. A good line cutting across this curb can make the corner exit a lot wider, and there's less chance of you hitting the wall or having to slow the car even more. Once exiting, get back on the power and stick to the right side of the track. Enable DRS and fly down the straight. Continue sticking to the right side here, as the next corner is a left-hander. Watch for the meter boards on the fence. You want to brake exactly at 100 meters here and shifting down to 3rd gear. Once this curb on the right gets close, you should already be turning into the corner. A helpful tip is to keep your eyes on this inside wall before and as you turn into the corner. You really want to cut as close as you can to the inside here, as again, it makes the corner exit much more forgiving. This corner can be tricky, as the turn-in point is the most important thing here. You want a smooth, aggressive line. Once extending to the right side of the track, get back on the power. You should aim to extend as close as you can to the wall here. Pull your car to the left now and prepare for the first right-hander of the lap. There aren't many reference points for braking here, so I just like to keep my eye on the corner and brake accordingly. However, if you really need a reference point, you can watch this big Rolex sign overhead. Brake just as you're parallel to this. Under braking, shift down to 2nd gear and rotate the car into the corner. This corner, along with the next 2, are more rounded and less of a harsh right angle. At the apex, start getting back on the power and naturally extend to the left side of the track, close to the wall. Once pulling away from the wall, jam the power up to 100% and head towards the next corner. So that's a look at Sector 1, now let's see it at full speed. Into the first corner of Sector 2, swing to the right side of the track and watch for the meter boards. You want to brake between the 100 and the 50 meter board here, so at around 60 to 75 meters. Under braking, shift down to 2nd gear and start turning in just a second after braking. Similar to the last corner, just roll the car in and try to keep it as close as possible to this inside wall. When rounding the first wall, keep about 20% on the gas just to make sure you aren't coasting. As it opens up, you'll see the track quickly transition to the right. It's important you have a more rounded line through here in order to maximize exit speed, so keep the car to the middle of the track for just a second before a slight lift and turning into the right. At the apex, get back on the power and sway out to the left side of the track by the wall. Full gas now, stick to the left as you head down the straight. There are 2 reference points you can use for braking here, one being the meter boards. For this corner, I like to brake a bit early to ensure I can cut the upcoming inside curb. I brake right between the 100 and the 50 meter boards, so at 75 meters. Another reference point you can use is this last orange barrier on the right. If you brake about a car length before you reach this, that's also around 75 meters. You can brake a bit later than this, but this is just what I prefer. Under braking, shift down to second, and just as this wall on the left starts to fade away, turn into the corner. Now, it may not look like it, but this inside curb is completely safe to cut across, and you can actually get away with going over track limits here without the game giving you a warning. Turn in aggressively and aim to have your left two wheels riding over the red and white curb. Even if they're slightly beyond the white line of track limits, the game will not give you a warning or penalty. Just make sure those left wheels are on the curb, not cutting to the inside of it. At the apex, be cautious on the power as the car's a bit unstable after going over this curb. Keep the steering hard to the right and slowly increase power as the car settles down. Extend to the left wall here and now give it gas. Quickly start pulling back to the right now and prepare for the most infamous corner of the lap. Personally, I like to just watch the corner to judge my braking here, but the exact reference point is this 50-meter board on the right. Brake here and almost immediately start turning into the corner. This is quite an aggressive input on the steering, so the car will naturally understeer at the beginning of the turn-in as it finds grip. Shift down to third as you turn in and aim to cut as close as you can to this inside wall on the left. Obviously, the danger here is hitting this wall on the right-hand side, so cutting as close as you can to the left wall is important. Once past the wall and heading up this small hill, stick to the left and you should be at around 75% throttle. Just before you get to the crest of the hill, slightly tap the brakes about 50%. This shifts the momentum of the car to the front wheels even further, digging them into the track and giving you just a little bit more grip. Use this front end grip to aggressively turn into the right, again aiming to stick as close as you can to this wall. Once you pull close to the wall and get beyond the crest of this hill, you can start slowly applying throttle. Ride it just enough to keep your line tight and not go wide. As the wall fades away, continue holding your steering input to the right for just a second as a wider swoop of a line helps you through the next corner. Hold on to that steering for just a second before giving it a smooth rotation to the left in order to turn into the next corner. Here, a slight lift of the throttle also helps those front wheels get more settled. Aim to ride your left two wheels on this inside curb, and as you pass the apex, increase the power and extend to the right. Even though there's this big gap here to use as sort of a runoff, keep in mind the white line is track limits, so try not to go beyond it. On the right side now, put the power all the way down and fly up the gears. This straight has two slight kinks to the left, so as you approach those, stay flat out and hug the inside wall before extending back to the right. Once past this second kink, slowly come back towards the right side of the track. There are pretty much no reference points for this corner, so I like to brake right when I get to the crest of this small hill, or right where this curb begins on the right. This curb comes up fast, so it's a tricky reference point to use, but it works. Make sure you brake hard for this and focus on your trail braking. It's easy to lock up here and slide into the wall. Under braking, shift down to third and try to turn in before this wall on the right starts to tighten up. I like to cut some of this inside curb, but it does make your car a bit unstable, so just be wary of that. As you round the curb, or bounce over it, keep your steering tight and your throttle controlled as it's easy to go slightly wide and hit the wall here. Once at the wall on the right, start heading down the hill to the next corner. So, that's a run through of Sector 2, now let's see it at full speed. Sector 3 is super fast. Heading into this corner, stick to the right side of the track and watch for the meter boards on the right. You want to brake about a car length beyond the 100 meter board. This, again, is a heavy use of the brakes and shifting down to third gear. I like to start turning in just as I reach this curb on the right. As you turn in, aim to cut close to this inside curb. You could ride a wheel on it, but given the steering angle and the throttle input at the apex, it has a possibility to spin you out. Increasing the power now at the apex naturally let the car drift to the right. I find this corner to be a bit narrower than it looks, so make sure you focus on not exceeding track limits here, although you can ride this curb when exiting. Power all the way to 100% now, stick to the right side of the track as it bends to the right. Now, as it bends to the left, use a flowing, easy line to cut close to this inside wall and stay flat out. When coming off that corner, don't flow all the way to the right, stick towards the middle or left part of the track, and same thing here, 100% throttle with an easy line cutting towards that inside wall. On exit, aim to come close to this left wall. Now enable DRS, head down the straight, and finish your lap. So that's a look at Sector 3, now let's see it at full speed. Now, before we watch the full lap, I have an extra tip for you. I use a software called Trophy.ai to help me improve my lap times. Whether you want to learn a track for the first time or have experience but are simply wanting to go faster, this program gives you live coaching and feedback throughout your laps, as well as detailed telemetry, skill coaching, and grading on your techniques. It's an extraordinarily helpful tool to help you shave time off your laps, and if you sign up by using my link and discount code in the description, you can get 12% off all payment plans. I definitely recommend checking it out. Alright, let's take a look at a full lap. So there you have it, a full lap of Baku broken down corner by corner and sector by sector. If you want to see more track guides on F124, have any questions, or need more tips, feel free to leave a comment on this video or in my Discord. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.